Hey friends, my name is Oleg. This is Mr. Bond. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to do a full review of Tudor Black Bay GMT. It's a watch that's not very easy to get, so I have to give a huge thank you to a local subscriber, a friend of mine, and just an awesome guy, Chris, for lending this watch to us for this review and for me to be able to share it with you guys. The second thing I want to mention, obviously with everything that's going on in the world right now, we're going to do our best to bring you regular content like we have before and try to entertain you with our video reviews and our watch talks. But just like a lot of you guys, we are also facing a lot of uncertainties in terms of job, in terms of finances, in terms of just general well-being. So no promises, but we will do our best to bring you regular content as much as we can. And if you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is to subscribe. We just crossed 20,000 subscribers. Huge thank you for that. Hopefully we can cross that 30,000 together. That'd be fantastic. Of course, like the videos, comment on the videos, all of that stuff really helps. Now, let's talk about the Tudor Black Bay GMT. The way I'm going to do this review, the first portion is going to be your general review, close-up shots, specifications, and the rest of it. And by the end of this video, I'm going to talk about my personal thoughts on the watch and how my experience of having this watch on my wrist for about a week has been so far. So let's get started with the review portion first. Let's begin by looking at the case dimensions. It has a diameter of 41 millimeters, a lug-to-lug distance of 50 millimeters, a lug width of 22 millimeters, and it's 14.7 millimeters thick, including the domed sapphire crystal. Here's what the watch looks like on my 7.5 inches or 20 centimeters wrist. There are some positives and there are some negatives to the way this watch wears. Let's begin with positives. I like the 41 millimeter diameter. It fits really nicely on my size of a wrist. It also has quite a short lug-to-lug distance, only 50 millimeters, with the first female links, so the links are not going to be protruding past the case too much. That makes the watch wearable for people with medium to smaller size wrists. The negative with the way this watch wears is its thickness. It's not overly thick. The weight distribution overall is pretty good, but it is still a little bit too thick for my personal preference. I wish it was about 13 millimeters, maybe even 14 millimeters. 15, it's kind of pushing it. Again, it pulls off its thickness well, but it could be thinner. The weight of the watch is a comfortable 177 grams. For a quick size comparison, here it is next to Seiko SKX 009. Seiko SKX being 42 millimeters, the GMT being 41 millimeters. As you can see, the GMT does look larger, and I think it's because of the longer lug-to-lug distance. Even though the lug-to-lug distance is not overly long, still makes the watch wear a little bit larger. I think these two watches wear about the same. So if you had the Seiko on your wrist, you can pretty much tell how the Tudor Black Bay GMT will be wearing on your size of a wrist. In the watch industry, Tudor is looked at as a younger brother of Rolex. Unlike Rolex, it's not made out of 904L stainless steel. It's made out of 316L stainless steel. It has a nice satin finish on top of the lugs and a polished finish on the sides of the case. The execution on the finish is excellent, as you would expect from a watch in this caliber. Nice chamfering on these lugs. Good transition between the polished and the brushed finishes. All of that looks great. The integration of the bracelet is also excellent. There's not much of a bracelet movement. It fits nice and flush, and overall looks like a quality item. It feels nice and solid in your hands. The watch has a screw-down crown at the 3 o'clock position. It's a Tudor sign crown with a Tudor rose. No crown guards. 200 meters of water resistance thanks to the screw-down crown. The knurling on the crown is excellent. Very nice and smooth. It is also a big crown, however it doesn't dig into your wrist too much because it sits quite flat to the case. A screw-down case back as well. No crazy engravings, not too much writing, very plain, keeping up with the tradition of Tudor watches and their plain casebacks. It has a bi-directional GMT style bezel, 60 clicks, nice and firm clicks. The way to operate this bezel, you kind of have to push on it, and that's how it's easiest to turn because there's not too much grip. As you can see, it's quite a thin bezel, I mean, for a GMT type of a watch, you don't really need a thick bezel. You don't really turn your bezel all that much. The bezel insert is stainless steel with the nice Pepsi colors. You have the red and the blue. In the marketing materials, this blue looked much lighter. In person, it's quite dark, and in certain lighting conditions, it almost looks black. It almost looks like a Coke, like a black and red. Quite like this bezel. Looks great and has nice vintage feel to it because it's not ceramic like the new GMT Master 2. It is still in stainless steel. This watch in general has very nice vintage feel to it. No crown guards, big crown, domed sapphire crystal, some air coating. Great viewing angles from this sapphire. A very attractive dial on this watch, all applied indices. We see open rail track, the fourth GMT hand, of course the iconic snowflake hours hand. This watch does have a date window at the 3 o'clock position. Sometimes I like date windows on watches, sometimes I hate them. I think on a GMT watch you must have a date window. It is a functional requirement. The integration of this date window is pretty good. It's fairly simple. There's no crazy border around this window. The background color of the date wheel is also not color matched to the dial. I think overall it looks pretty good. My only complaint with the design of this watch, and I might be in a minority with this one, I wish that the indices were slightly larger. I think for this size of a dial, they could get away with slightly larger indices. But that's just my personal preference. The lume on this watch is excellent. Here's a lume shot for you. It's nice and bright, lasts for a long time. I mean, you wouldn't expect anything less than that from Tudor. One thing to note, there is no lume pip on the bezel, so the bezel has no lume at all. But then again, this is not a diver style watch, so it doesn't really need that lume pip. The movement powering this watch is the caliber MT5652 automatic movement. It's an in-house Tudor movement, COSC certified of course, plus or minus 2 seconds per day. This one is beating very accurately within a second per day. It has 70 hours of power reserve, beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour, has 26 joules, and of course a date functionality. Now this is a true GMT movement with the local jumping hand. Let me demonstrate what I mean. So as you unscrew the crown, first position, that's how you hand wind the movement. Second position, that's the jumping GMT hand. And third position, that's to set the other time zone. Once you set the time, push the crown in and you screw it back in place. So the movement and the GMT function in this watch operates in exactly the same way as it does in the Rolex GMT Master 2. Now compare that to a different, not a true GMT movement, but a GMT movement nevertheless, a very popular choice for a lot of companies, also Swiss-made ETA 2893. This one is housed in the Zelos watch, but it can be found in many different watches. So what is the difference between a true GMT movement and not a true GMT movement? Well, here we go. So first position, you hand wind, just like in the GMT. The second position, well, here where the things get different. When you rotate the crown one way, that's how you set the GMT hand. When you rotate the crown the other way, that's how you change the date. And when you pull the crown into the third position, that's how you set the local time. So it doesn't have the local jumping hand. And that's why it's not a quote-unquote true GMT movement, unlike the Rolex GMT Master 2 and the Tudor Black Bay GMT. This watch is available in 3 different strap options. We have a stainless steel bracelet, like we find here. It also comes on a leather strap or a NATO strap. I think the most desirable one is the stainless steel bracelet. The bracelet quality is excellent, nice satin finish on top, and a polished finish on the sides. It also has these faux rivets. Didn't do much, didn't stretch the bracelet or anything like that. Screw in place pins, solid end links, solid links of course. The clasp is in the shape of a Tudor shield. Tudor signed guard here. You open it as so. It's a friction lock and a polished finish on the inside of this engineered clasp. Pretty nice finish, but could be better. And it is of course Tudor signed. 3 micro adjustments, but no easy link, no diver extension, no glide lock mechanism. The overall feel of the bracelet is nice. I like how it tapers in. It feels good in your hand. It is nice and hefty, and it has a good weight to offset the weight of the watch head itself. That was the review part of the video. Now let's talk about my thoughts and my experience of having the watch on the wrist for a few days. I tried the watch on before at the ADs, but it's very different from trying the watch on at the retail environment as opposed to wearing it on your wrist in your own environment. You can see what it looks like outside, you can see what it looks like inside, so the two experiences are very different. So again, huge thank you to Chris for loaning this watch to me. I didn't wear it too much because a loaner watch is an expensive watch, so I didn't want to put any scratches on it or anything like that, but I think I got a pretty good idea of what this watch represents and how this watch wears in general. And I really liked it. I enjoyed my time with the watch. I think it's a great timepiece. First of all, I think the prices are coming down on the secondary market. The watches are becoming easier to buy from ADs, so that's great to see because all the watch enthusiasts that want to buy the watch are now able to buy the watch instead of the people that are just buying the watches to flip. So that's great to see. The watch itself represents, in my opinion, pretty great value for money. It's a true GMT watch, comes from Tudor, fantastic finishes. The fit on the wrist is pretty great. It is a bit on the thicker side. However, something that I didn't mention in the review portion of the video, the watch has these chamfered edges at the bottom. It has this beveling at the bottom of the case. That gives a bit of a visual illusion and makes the watch look a little bit thinner. So it doesn't wear too thick, but you can still feel it, and that's pretty much the biggest negative with the watch. If you don't mind that, you will be very happy with this timepiece. It's super accurate, of course, COSC certified, 200 meters of water resistance, and for a travel watch, it has everything you will need. Plus that case design and the Pepsi bezel are so iconic and so desirable. So well done, Tudor. I really like this watch. Probably not going to be buying this one anytime soon, but if I had the ability to, I would definitely consider it. It's just a great timepiece. I appreciate you watching this video until the end. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss more videos like this one in the future, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the Tudor Black Bay GMT. By the way, today on my wrist, I'm wearing my Seiko SNK 809. I did a full review of this watch. That video can be found on the YouTube channel. I will also leave it linked in the description below. Also in the description below, there are two other links. The first link is a secret link. Have a look if you're curious. The second link is a link to bondnativstraps.com. If you're looking for a good quality native strap and want to support this YouTube channel at the same time, getting one of these native straps is a great way to do so. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. A deal is a deal. There you go. Oh boy. You're not even chewing it. I'm not even chewing your food. It's not very good.